Well, now joining me on the midday news to discuss this and the outcome of the Council of State meeting is Mr. Paul Ananaba, a senior advocate of Nigeria. Mr. Ananaba, you're welcome.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Well, I'm sure you followed events that transpired at the Council of State meeting yesterday. Perhaps we should start on this note. Have you collected your PVC?
Well, I've not got it. I've kept up with INEC. I was informed it will be out this week. I've followed and I've not got it.
But you're optimistic that you'll get it before the period is over?
Yes, I think so.
So what did you make of the outcome of that particular meeting that happened yesterday?
Well, let's start from what we know, which is the briefing by the two governors. Two governors were in a meeting. They came out and were were directed to come and tell Nigerians the position of the National Council of States. And two of them primarily gave their opinion and not conveying really what they transpired at the Council of States. You will see that each speaker slanted towards his opinion, opinion of his own group. And that's not very good for the country. What they were told to say was not what they think or their interpretation of what transpired, but exactly what transpired, so that Nigerians will know what transpired and then wait on INEC to hear if INEC is going to say anything further on that point.
Well, we're not privy to what exactly transpired in that meeting, so we have to rely on their accounts.
Exactly.
However slanted it is, we think that, the two accounts might be. But from what we can get from it, INEC obviously has a security report to deal with, and we're told that INEC was given a security report from the National Security Advisor in terms of how, elections is going to be conducted in the four northeastern states. What is your thinking on this particular report?
Well, the Electoral Act is very clear as to this kind of situation. What has happened to this country is that patriotism has dwindled so much, and people are no longer facing facts the way they are. People make presentations and speeches based on which seat on the divide they occupy. The Electoral Act specifically provides for INEC postponing elections. And it is, when you read the section in its entirety, it talks of postponing elections in areas where there are emergencies or disasters. Now, what's going on in the northeast states, and from the report we were told that came from the National Security Advisor, is that about 14 local governments have been occupied by terrorists. And INEC, if INEC so feels, can postpone elections with respect to those areas. In fact, there's nothing in the Electoral Act that says that INEC can do a wholesome postponement of election.
So you do not think that this should be a wholesome postponement?
INEC does not have such powers.
Not even on the basis.
It's only in areas that there are emergencies and disasters, or breach of peace, such that election cannot hold in those areas. And so I don't expect INEC to rely on the Section 26 and now say, the whole election cannot hold. They had 4 years to prepare. They have, up till yesterday, from what we have heard, told this country that they are ready. In fact, that they are more ready now than in 2011.
Now let's look at, the calls initially started with the distribution of PVCs. That's where the controversy started from. Yeah. Looking at what INEC has been able to do so far, they say they have 65% of PVCs distributed, but some states, 5 big states we understand, are still not quite up to where they want them to be. Lagos, Ogun, Oyo, Imo, and Kano states are still not where they want them to be. Would you support a call for the postponement in those states if you say that INEC doesn't have full powers there?
Yeah, INEC can decide to postpone election even in those areas.
On the basis of PVC distribution?
Not wide. if INEC comes up, and we should look at the Act. The Act says, if, for example, there's a security report that those who did not get their PVCs are going to go on rampage and refuse the election holding in those states unless they get it, and they are substantial enough, that is likely to cause a breach of peace. Then, if INEC has clear report on that security report, it can postpone election, not indefinitely, but for a short time. Okay. Now, what I'm saying is, what it comes up to us in Nigeria as if INEC can, postpone the entire election. That's not on the table. INEC doesn't have such powers. Finally, we should remember that the peace of this country is so important, and this election should come and go.
Already being wound up. Just quickly though, the final outcome that everybody seemed to have gotten from that Council of State meeting is that INEC should go ahead with the polls, and if it has troubles, it should come back. Do you agree with the Council of State? Yes.
Why wouldn't I? That's an advisory body created by the Constitution. What they were doing was their constitutional role, and they've told INEC make consultations. If INEC comes up, the Electoral Act says INEC must have verifiable grounds before they can postpone elections. I believe that this election should come and go, and let there be peace in this country.
Well, Mr. Paul Ananaba, I have to thank you for coming on the Midday News. We have been speaking with Mr. Paul Ananaba, a senior advocate of Nigeria, who's been speaking on the outcome of the National Council of State meeting held yesterday.